There's a story that rarely gets told, a reality that lives behind the headlines, the stereotypes, and the expectations. It's the story of what it really means to be a black man in America today. Not the version you see in movies or on the news, but the unfiltered, everyday truth, the secret struggles that so many carry in silence. These are the battles fought behind closed doors, in quiet moments, and in the spaces where vulnerability feels like a risk. This is not just a story of hardship, but of resilience, complexity, and hope. It's time to reveal what's really going on. For many black men, the first struggle is simply being seen for who they are. From a young age, black boys are taught directly and indirectly that the world will see them through a lens of suspicion, fear, or expectation. In school, they may be disciplined more harshly than their peers, their energy mistaken for aggression, their curiosity for defiance. Teachers may underestimate their abilities or overlook their potential. The message is clear. You have to work twice as hard to get half as far. And even then, you might not be given the benefit of the doubt. This early experience shapes everything that comes after. Black men learn to navigate a world that is both hyper-aware of their presence and blind to their individuality. They learn to code switch, to adjust their language, tone, and body language depending on the setting. They learn to keep their hands visible, to avoid sudden movements, to smile when they don't feel like it, all in an effort to make others feel comfortable. It's a constant calculation, a mental load that never really goes away. But the struggle isn't just external. There's an internal battle too, a fight to define yourself in a world that's always trying to define you first. Black men are bombarded with images of what they're supposed to be: strong, stoic, unbreakable. Vulnerability is often seen as weakness, and asking for help can feel like a betrayal of everything you've been taught. The pressure to be the provider, the protector, the role model, it's real, and it's heavy. For many, the fear of letting down their families, their communities, or themselves is a constant companion. Mental health is one of the most secret struggles. The stigma around therapy, depression, and anxiety is strong in many black communities. The message is often, tough it out, pray about it, don't let them see you sweat. But the reality is that black men are just as likely as anyone else to experience mental health challenges, and in some cases, more so, because of the added stress of racism, discrimination, and economic hardship. Yet they are far less likely to seek help. The result is a silent epidemic of pain, isolation, and sometimes tragedy. Relationships can be another source of struggle. Black men are often caught between competing expectations from partners, from family, from society. They may feel pressure to be emotionally available and supportive, but also to be strong and unflappable. They may want to be open about their feelings, but fear being judged or misunderstood. The result can be a sense of loneliness, even in the midst of love. Communication becomes a minefield, and the fear of being vulnerable can keep real intimacy just out of reach. The workplace is another arena where the secret struggles play out. Black men may face subtle or overt discrimination, from being passed over for promotions to being excluded from informal networks. They may feel pressured to downplay their achievements to avoid being seen as arrogant or threatening. They may have to navigate microaggressions, those small, everyday slights that add up over time. The stress of constantly having to prove yourself to be twice as good can lead to burnout, frustration, and a sense of never quite belonging. There's also the struggle with identity. Black men are not a monolith, but society often treats them as if they are. The pressure to fit into a certain mold, to be black enough but not too black, can be exhausting. Some may feel caught between different worlds: the expectations of their families, the realities of their neighborhoods, the demands of the wider society. For those who are LGBTQ or who don't fit traditional ideas of masculinity, the struggle can be even more intense. The fear of rejection, of not belonging anywhere, is real. Fatherhood brings its own set of challenges. Many black men are determined to be present, loving fathers, to break cycles of absence or pain, but they may face obstacles, economic, legal, or personal, that make it hard to do so. The narrative of the absent black father is a stereotype, but it's one that many men feel pressured to disprove, sometimes at great personal cost. The desire to provide, to nurture, to guide is strong, but so are the barriers. Despite all these struggles, there is also incredible strength. Black men have always found ways to survive, to adapt, to thrive. They build networks of support, find mentors, and create spaces where they can be themselves. They turn pain into art, struggle into activism, and isolation into community. They love fiercely, dream boldly, and refuse to be defined by anyone else's limitations. The secret struggles of black men are not just about hardship, they're about humanity. They're about the complexity of living in a world that is both beautiful and brutal, full of possibility and peril. They're about the courage it takes to keep going, to keep loving, to keep hoping. And they're about the power of telling the truth, even when it's hard.
The weight of expectations is something black men carry every day, often without ever speaking about it. There is the expectation to be strong, to never show fear or sadness, to always have the answers. For some, this means becoming the rock for their families, the one everyone turns to in a crisis. For others, it means feeling like they can never let their guard down, not even for a moment. The world expects black men to be resilient, but rarely asks what it costs to keep up that resilience year after year. This pressure can show up in subtle ways. Maybe it's the father who works 2 jobs but never talks about how tired he is. Maybe it's the college student who feels he can't ask for help because he doesn't want to seem weak. Maybe it's the young man who bottles up his emotions because he's been told all his life that real men don't cry. These are the secret struggles that play out in bedrooms, in locker rooms, in late-night drives home from work. They're the moments when black men wonder if anyone really sees them, or if they're just playing a role that was written long before they were born. There's also the struggle of navigating spaces where you're the only one who looks like you. Whether it's a classroom, a boardroom, or a neighborhood, being the only black man in the room can be both isolating and exhausting. You become hyper-aware of your words, your actions, your appearance. You wonder if you're being judged more harshly, if your mistakes will be remembered longer, if your successes will be downplayed. You feel the pressure to represent, to be a credit to your race, to never give anyone a reason to doubt you. It's a lonely place to be, and it's a reality that many black men know all too well. The criminal justice system is another source of struggle. Black men are disproportionately targeted, stopped, searched, and incarcerated. The fear of being pulled over, of being in the wrong place at the wrong time, is a constant undercurrent. Even those who have never had a run-in with the law know the stories, friends, family members, or neighbors who were caught up in a system that seems stacked against them. The anxiety that comes with this knowledge is real, and it shapes the way black men move through the world. It's not just about personal choices, it's about living in a society where the rules are not always applied equally. Financial pressure is another secret struggle. The wealth gap between black and white families in America is well documented, and black men often feel the burden of trying to close that gap. Whether it's providing for children, supporting parents, or trying to build generational wealth, the pressure to succeed financially can be intense. But the obstacles are real. Discrimination in hiring, lower wages, fewer opportunities for advancement. The dream of financial security can feel just out of reach, no matter how hard you work. Relationships with women can be both a source of strength and a source of struggle. Black men may feel pressure to live up to ideals of masculinity that don't leave much room for vulnerability or emotional honesty. They may want to be supportive partners, but struggle to communicate their own needs. They may feel caught between the desire to be strong and the need to be understood. The result can be misunderstandings, missed connections, and a sense of loneliness even in the midst of love. There's also the struggle with health, both physical and mental. Black men are more likely to suffer from chronic illnesses like hypertension and diabetes, often as a result of stress, lack of access to health care, and systemic inequalities. But they are less likely to seek medical help, sometimes out of mistrust, sometimes out of a sense of invincibility, and sometimes because they simply can't afford it. The same is true for mental health. The stigma around therapy and counseling is strong, and many Black men feel they have to handle their problems on their own. Spirituality and faith can be sources of comfort and strength, but they can also bring their own challenges. For some, the church is a place of refuge, a community that offers support and guidance. For others, it can be a place of judgment, where certain struggles are not acknowledged or are seen as a lack of faith. Navigating these spaces requires wisdom and courage, and it's another layer of the secret struggles that Black men face. Despite all of this, there's hope. Black men are finding new ways to support each other, to break the silence, to challenge the stereotypes. They are forming support groups, mentoring young men, and speaking openly about their experiences. They are redefining what it means to be strong, to be a man, to be Black in America. They are telling their stories in books, in music, in film, in everyday conversations, and in doing so, they are creating space for healing and growth. The secret struggles of Black men are not just about pain, they're about possibility. They're about the courage to face the truth, the strength to keep going, and the hope that things can change. They're about the power of community, the importance of self-care, and the belief that every man deserves to be seen, heard, and valued for who he truly is. There's a quiet revolution happening among Black men, a movement that's not always visible, but is changing lives in profound ways. It's the decision to talk about what's really going on, to reach out for help, to support each other in ways that previous generations might not have felt possible. This revolution is happening in barbershops, in group chats, in therapy sessions, and in the simple act of checking in on a friend. It's a shift from silence to honesty, from isolation to connection. One of the most powerful changes is the growing willingness to talk about mental health. For too long, the message was clear: keep your problems to yourself, don't show weakness, and never let anyone see you struggle. But more and more, Black men are realizing that this approach doesn't work. The cost of silence is too high. Depression, anxiety, and trauma don't go away just because you ignore them. In fact, they often get worse. The new message is that strength isn't about pretending everything is okay. It's about having the courage to face what's hard and to ask for help when you need it. Therapy is becoming less taboo, but the journey isn't always easy. Finding a therapist who understands the unique experiences of Black men can be a challenge. There's the fear of being misunderstood, of having your pain minimized or your reality questioned. But when the right connection is made, therapy can be life-changing. It's a space to unpack the weight of expectations, to process the pain of discrimination, and to learn new ways of coping. It's a place to be vulnerable without fear of judgment. Mentorship is another key to breaking the cycle of secret struggles. Black men who have navigated the challenges of life are reaching back to help the next generation. They're sharing their stories, offering advice, and providing a model of what's possible. This mentorship doesn't always happen in formal programs. It can be as simple as a conversation, a word of encouragement, or a willingness to listen. These relationships are lifelines, offering hope and guidance in a world that can feel overwhelming. Community is at the heart of this revolution. Black men are creating spaces where they can be themselves, where they can laugh, cry, and be real. These spaces might be physical, a basketball court, a church, a living room, or they might be virtual, in online forums or social media groups. What matters is the sense of belonging, the knowledge that you're not alone. In these communities, men can share their struggles without fear of ridicule and celebrate their victories without feeling like they have to downplay their success. Art and creativity are also powerful tools for healing and expression. Music, poetry, visual art, and storytelling have always been ways for Black men to process their experiences and share their truth. Whether it's a rap verse about growing up in a tough neighborhood, a painting that captures the complexity of identity, or a film that challenges stereotypes, art is a way to turn pain into power. It's a way to connect with others, to inspire change, and to leave a legacy. Faith and spirituality continue to play a significant role. For many Black men, faith is a source of strength, comfort, and hope. It's a way to make sense of suffering, to find meaning in struggle, and to believe in the possibility of redemption. But faith communities are also evolving, becoming more open to conversations about mental health, masculinity, and the realities of life. Pastors and spiritual leaders are encouraging men to seek help, to support each other, and to embrace a more holistic view of what it means to be healthy and whole. There's also a growing recognition of the importance of self-care. For Black men, self-care isn't just about relaxation, it's about survival. It's about making time for rest, for joy, for the things that nourish your soul. It's about setting boundaries, saying no when you need to, and protecting your peace. Self-care can be as simple as taking a walk, listening to music, or spending time with loved ones. It's a reminder that you matter, that your well-being is important, and that you deserve to be cared for. The secret struggles of Black men are being revealed, not just in private conversations, but in public spaces. Celebrities, athletes, and leaders are speaking out about their own challenges, breaking the silence and challenging the stigma. Their honesty is opening doors for others, making it safer to talk about what's really going on. The more these stories are told, the more the narrative shifts from one of pain and struggle to one of resilience, healing, and hope. But there's still work to be done. The systems that create and sustain these struggles, racism, inequality, toxic masculinity, are still very much in place. Changing the narrative is just the beginning. Real change will require new policies, new resources, and a new commitment to justice and equity. It will require all of us, Black men, families, communities, and allies, to keep pushing, keep speaking out, and keep supporting each other. The journey is far from over, but the progress is real. The secret struggles of Black men are no longer as secret as they once were. The truth is coming to light, and with it, the possibility of a future where every Black man can live fully, freely, and without fear.